Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Are you able to sit on the floor? Yeah, come, bring a cushion or a back thing and just come here. Excellent. That is how we study traditionally. Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vaivasvataya Mrityave
Vaivasvataya Mrityave
Brahma Vidyacharyaya
Brahma Vidyacharyaya
Nachiketa Secha.
Nachiketa Secha.
So we are going to be studying in detail Kathopanishad. In fact, we are already studying it on Wednesday, and we have reached a different place on Wednesday studying the Kathopanishad. But this is more of an immersed everyday study. And this kind of a study promises an engagement that is much more fulfilling, of a greater depth and of quicker rewards because of the extent and the depth of the engagement. Quicker rewards means what? Rewards in the form of what one is seeking to be free of, and what one is wanting, to resolve this discontented person and to be free of all the rising tirade of wants called samsara. That is what it is. Endless wants, making one try to become something or the other, is called samsara. So many definitions we have. I keep defining it in a new way so that one doesn't get stuck with that idea. So, this is the purpose of this kind of an engaged study. And the point is that when we make the time, when we take the time, either by choice or by choicelessness, because sometimes it's not a choice, because sometimes it's the only choice, nothing else has worked, everything has collapsed, all the health problems have relapsed, memory has lapsed. So then, somewhere I heard Vedanta, somewhere I heard Upanishad, somewhere I thought, okay, let's see what this will bring. Correct? So I decide to try it out as a last recourse, because there is no other course of option open to me. So this is what is called a default study. Nothing wrong. In fact, we are very happy that the devatas which give karma phala, Chitragupta and others, they have engineered it so that every single outlet for this jiva is blocked, and so that the jiva cannot go anywhere except come to a classroom situation even without wanting it. So this is what is called the default Vedantin. Yeah. Who is a Vedantin? The one who is in Vedanta. That's all. Vedantin. That's all. So the default Vedantin. And if you're not Vedantin, what are you? Vedant out? Yeah. You don't want to be that. for reasons that will be elaborated today. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be a Vedanta out. It's much better to be a Vedanta in, because, when one has been fenced in by so many things in life, which have just made my defenses and offenses come up and have not left me any other recourse. Vedanta gives a sense of purpose and belonging. Yeah, that is why it is. Even before one understands what it has to really say, and before one begins to appreciate what it has to do for me, what it is going to do for me, what it is doing for me, the first response is the opportunity to feel safe. Yeah. Because there's an immediate sense of belonging, which is a change from keeping on longing for something or the other. We exchange the longing, otherwise one is keeping on longing for this, longing for that. And the longing happens because there is no belonging. That's really what it is. Yeah. There's not much of a difference between in terms of the word longing, and then you have a upasarga be. Yeah, we never have that kind of an upasarga in Sanskrit. Upasarga means prefix. Yeah, we have, we, but we don't have be. Yeah, we longing, visheshena longing. But here this is be. The prefix be, be, makes the longing go away. That prefix is the suffix of the Veda called Vedanta. It is fantastic. Fantastic. So first it kind of embraces, this kind of a deeply engaged study kind of embraces in two ways. One is it gives this hapless, structureless life a kind of a structure that is impeccable, and it's inextricably linked to spiritual growth. In the West, everybody is afraid of structure. Structure means I have to rebel. Timetable means I have to run from it. Yeah, because I am the master of time. Who says? The jiva that runs around saying there is no time, 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 no time, no time, no time, no time. All right, do this. No, I have to be in charge. This is a false and ersatz level of engagement. So, first, this kind of a deep study, any study of Vedanta, but we are talking of this because this is an everyday affair now, correct? Yeah, so I have to, what should I say? I have to sign up some followers. I have to pitch my case. Otherwise, tomorrow what will I do at 8 o'clock? So we are talking of this engaged study. So first what it does is it embraces by a structure in the beginning I just want to get out of. Like even the child having a tantrum. The child is throwing itself on the ground and having a tantrum. What does the parent do? They hold it, correct? And what does the child do in the beginning? No! Let me out! Let me out. I don't want it. And then I want to run and fall again and throw myself on the ground. And because the child is repeatedly injuring itself, the parent will not let go. The parent will keep holding until the pushing, pulling, crying, screaming subsides and the child heaves a sob of relief and just succumbs to the holding, correct? And in fact finds comfort in the arms of the mother, the father, whatever, arms of the caregiver. And likewise, what we call the Upanishad, another name for it is Shruti, because it is imbibed through the ears. That which is heard is called Shrutihi. And likewise, the Shruti is a mother that takes care, that holds this child in an embrace and does not let go until the tantrums of the jiva subside and the jiva says, I'm free. Okay, now you are free to go. Yes. So the first embrace seems like a kind of a harsh embrace, because it's like this engaged study, everyday affair. 8 o'clock I have to study, 4 o'clock I have to study, and on Tuesday, Wednesdays extra study, and then Saturday, Sundays more study. What is this? Don't I have anything else to do? The answer is no. And huh? Yeah, so then, this is what it is. Every day I have to do this, day after day after day. What is this? When is this going to stop? These are all questions coming from that inner child, which all it knows to do, poor thing, is to throw tantrums. It has been doing that since age 2. From age 2 to 92, this is what everyone has in common. Yeah. What is that? The terrible 2 never goes away. First it is outer terrible 2, and inner, then it is not terrible 2, it is terrifying 2. Yeah. Terrifying. This is what it is. So first, the mother Shruti, through the lineage, actually, here she enlists the help of the lineage and her spokespeople, which are the gurus of the tradition. And she says, come on all of you, and give a structure for my speech. Give a structure for my message. Because, there are certain times of studying certain things. Like the afternoon. We are following what are called the circadian cycles. Afternoon is not a time of deep engagement, because everybody will be engaging with yawns. Yeah. Fighting shadows, fighting yawns. That time it's nice to have something which is easily assimilated. Mornings, for most people other than people who have owl samskaras, are a good time. Yeah. And even the owls, the previous owls I mean, can be re-samskarified. Yeah, you can train the samskara. How do you train the samskara? You repeat at night, I'm not an owl this time around. I'm not an owl this time around. And then the morning is a time of receptivity. It's a time of letting in. It's also a time when the defenses are low. Throughout the day, because as you encounter certain things, even the simplest of obstacles, try to turn the stove on, it doesn't turn. It doesn't turn on. Causes stress. Try to open the door, it doesn't open. Fingers are oily, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't open. So that causes anger and stress. So like this, all these huge build-up of stress happens towards the latter part of the day. In the morning, the defenses are still unsuspecting. That's why we have Bhashya class at 7:30. You rub your eyes and, run the comb through the hair, come to class. And then, I want to always, the teachers always make their job easier. That's all it is. But it's also easy for the student. So Mother Shruti, enlisting the help of all the gurus in the lineage, first embraces through giving a structure to the study. We are not making up the schedule. You go to any ashram in India, this is the schedule. This is the kind of schedule. We are not, thankfully for me, I don't have to sit here and make up, midnight Kathopanishad, 2 o'clock Mundakopanishad. I don't have to do that. It's been done for 10,000 years. People have been studying the same thing, engaging about the same thing, writing about the same thing, reading about the same thing, teaching others about the same thing in the same way. So the first embrace comes, a tight embrace comes from a very strict structure. And one learns in time to allow oneself to be held in that structure. And it's actually very beautiful when that happens, because you lay down the cudgels. Yeah. You lay down the cudgels. And because the structure is so strict that the only day one has off, in the beginning, one freaks out and goes to town literally with it. But then over time one learns that if that day I just completely, exhaust all my resources, the next day I will be, drooping. Everything will be drooping. Body will be drooping, eyelids will be drooping. So therefore I learn to manage that day so that the next day doesn't manage me. You see, that is also part of that structure, coming to a certain thing. So that is the first embrace of the parampara, the lineage, the Guru Parampara. And also it is the embrace of Mother Shruti and how she recommends that this be taught, how she recommends that one engages with this. And the one who comes into this embrace, by design or by default, doesn't matter, learns to see the beauty of this embrace, because actually it is very beautiful. So that is the first embrace. Just like the tantruming child, where? In front of the toy store. That's where the child will throw the tantrum, and the mother says no. Probably for the first time the mother has said no. The child is used to having everything it wants. But baby's day out, what happens? Baby gets into a tantrum because it's never seen all the things, and the baby doesn't understand concept of money, belonging to somebody else, and the monetary economy, nothing it understands. It just wants everything to come home. It with its small hands, it grabs hold of everything and refuses to leave the shop. Correct? And this is exactly how the inner 2-year-old is still behaving. The outer 2, one has outgrown, that's why it's called outer 2. Yeah. The inner 2 is like an ingrown toenail. Constantly somewhere there, but you can't get to it. Somewhere hurting, very difficult to get to it. Somewhere it is pinching, somewhere it is hurting, somewhere it is constricting my potential and who I am and who I want to be, what all I want to accomplish, even on the level of the everyday. It is constricting, like a pinching shoe, like a toenail that is, hurting. And then the second embrace is more of a on the level not of structure but of content. Yeah. Just like the mother slowly, after the child has calmed down, takes away all the things it has grabbed and puts it back on the shelf. You don't need this right now. You don't need this right now. Not this, not now. Not this, not this, not this. No. We have enough, you have enough, you are enough. Mother Shruti also says not this, but in Sanskrit. How does she say that? Neti, 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 neti. No, I am the body. Neti. I am the mind, I'm grabbing hold of the mind. Neti. I am the house. Neti. I am the mouse. Neti. Computer mouse. I am the iPad. That's why it's called iPad. It's got an I in front of it. I am the pad. Neti. I am mad. Neti, you're not the mind. I'm sad. You're not the emotions. Neti. I'm rad. You're not what you think. Neti. So just the same philosophy, it's a very superior mothering, because even on the everyday level, the mother is valuable. In the Vyavaharika level, poor mother, what can she do, All the time, all the children are crying for something or the other. And who can fault her for saying, shut up, sit down, entertain yourselves. Go away, I wish I could give you away, Who can fault the father and the mother for saying that once in a while? Right? In fact, in this very Upanishad, Nachiketa's father says that to him right in the opening. We see that. That's why I brought it up. And who can fault the mother in the day-to-day to do that? But Shruti is not a day-to-day mother. Shruti is not an impermanent mother, a finite mother. In all ways the word means, impermanent, not around all the time. And then finite, meaning changing from minute to minute. 1 minute lovely and loving, because she had a good day. So all the children have a good day. And then when she had a bad day, forget it. Same thing with the father. Inconsistent, unavailable, loving sometimes, angry at certain other times. If he fights with the mother, another shade of the father. When they both get along, another shade of the parents. So, everything percolates down to the child, correct? Yeah. Shruti is not that kind of a, mother. Shruti is not a finite mother. She is an infinite mother. Infinite, changeless, as in totally there all the time, consistently loving and consistently hita. Hita means not comfort, even though it's translated that way. Hita means comfort. But the word comfort is actually relative, is it not? What is comfortable for one is uncomfortable for the other. So hita should not be translated as comfort. Hita really means what is good for you, what is appropriate for you, for your growth, for your integration of that inner 2-year-old that is constantly clamoring for attention and distracting you from achieving what you want, from being who you are, from discovering your own glory, from always wanting to live in borrowed glory and trying to accomplish this, that and the other. This is the correct kind of a mother. So in a way, you can say Shruti is the absolute mother. Why mother? Why not father? Well, she happens to be feminine. Yeah. And in the Vedic tradition, everything that is wonderful, good, and everything that you want is feminine. Yeah. Lakshmi, wealth, abundance, prosperity, happiness. It's all different forms of Lakshmi. Good food, all this Lakshmi, 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 Lakshmi. And Lakshmi is feminine or masculine? Feminine. It took a little while for the answer to come, but definitely feminine. All kinds of Lakshmi feminine. Oh, I'm not into Lakshmi. I'm the thinking types. I want knowledge. Who is that? Saraswati. She's also feminine. She's also feminine. And between Lakshmi and Saraswati, all the pursuits of the world have been divvied up. Yeah. Don't think they are competing with each other. They are not competing with each other. Saraswati, very few people go to. So she should be upset. Everyone is going to this other lady because everybody is interested in, abundance and prosperity and all these things, and very few people pick up a book. That too Shruti book. So, but she is not upset. She is not upset at all. Why? She is secure in the knowledge that Lakshmi can make you buy a book, but to understand it you have to come to me. She is very happy. Lakshmi can give you things, but to understand how it works and its place in life, you have to come to me. So in other words, Lakshmi is karma phala. What is karma phala? Fruit of action. But Saraswati is jnana phala, the fruit of study. This is what the difference is. Lakshmi comes because of purva punya. It's a karma phala. Yeah, because anybody in being born with a spoon, platinum, gold, diamond, silver, spoon in the mouth, that means blessed by Lakshmi from the previous life, good karma. Saraswati is the fruit of knowledge. Yes. Lakshmi I can take for granted. You shouldn't, but one can. But Saraswati, I have to approach. So this is what it is. So therefore Shruti is a mother. Because she's a different kind of mother, a kind of a more specific mother evolved out of the goddess of knowledge. A kind of a facet or an aspect of Saraswati that is honed into only one thing and one thing alone, which is freedom from this feeling of suffocation called samsara. That's all her job is. So, Mother Shruti deals with Paravidya. Saraswati, both Apara and Para. Out of that we have crafted Mother Shruti. A mother of knowledge who cognitively has the power to change my outlook and my attitudes towards myself, towards the circumstances in which I live, Jagat, and towards that which has created and set in motion this entire universe, Ishvara. This is what the second embrace is all about. The second embrace, first it's an neti in the embrace. Put that toy down. Yeah. Put that toy down, neti. This is not you. Stop thinking of the body as yourself, the mind as yourself. In fact, it's an extreme neti. Because from the standpoint of Mother Shruti, everything, including your body, is a toy. Yeah. You play with it, that's all. You just twiddle the fingers, pull the ears, and call it a yoga pose. Put one leg in the air and call it another yoga pose. This is just something to play with, to keep it in limber shape, because I need to go to class and I need to be able to sit in class. That's why all this whole thing is all about. So for Mother Shruti, everything is a toy. The mind is another toy, the body is a toy, everything is a toy, which she firmly but lovingly helps you to put down, meaning not identify as yourself. But the embrace goes deeper than that. That is the first level of delineating who you are not. And then finally, the depth of the embrace culminates in that oneness. So much so that you no longer feel the embrace. You are not the embracer, you are not the embraced, or rather you are both that and this without being either. You see? You see the whole process? First there is the sobbing jiva, tantruming, sobbing, playing truant on life, no sense of dharma, swadharma, paradharma, nothing. And first the embrace is that of giving a structure to this person's life by focusing on the study, on the worship, etc. And then the embrace, after the inner infant has quietened down, goes deeper to make the person put all the toys that don't belong down. Starting with the body, big toy. And then, after that what? And finally, the embrace is an appropriate term because there is really no embracer and nothing, no embraced. The embracer embracing distinction has resolved in that kaivalya, in that oneness, in that onliness, not loneliness, okay? Yeah. That is the journey of the jiva, exposed to the Shruti, goes from being lonely to only, to discovering I am only. So resolves in that total oneness. That embrace resolves in the oneness. But for that one has to brace oneself cognitively. One has to have certain things in terms of props, like when the sitting in class happens, whenever there are more people, I notice some people bring a bag. Oh, they sit on the bag? No. Inside the bag is a pillow, and then inside that pillow is another pillow. So 2-3 pillows they bring, and then they sit. They bring, it's BYOP. Bring your own pillow, and then and some people come and look around to see if the favorite pillow from the classroom somebody else has taken, or is it still available. Don't think I don't notice. I notice. And then some people have their favorite spot. First they refurbish the chair with some pillow and then they sit on that. And so just like everybody has a favorite prop to greet the Upanishad's embrace, to greet the embrace of this mother. I'm just calling her the Upanishad. She needs to have a name. That's all. To greet the embrace of this mother, I have to prop myself with I have to cushion this embrace, cushion the heart for this embrace, to be ready for this embrace. I have to prepare myself. And so there is a certain preparation involved that is cognitively cultivated and practiced in the day-to-day life, which is called sadhana. But the sadhana is not for the sake of knowing that I am one. The sadhana directly doesn't give the knowledge. What gives the knowledge is this deep engagement, the kind that we are going to start having from today with the teachings. That is what gives the knowledge. That is what gives Saraswati, which is Jnana Phala. That is what gives the knowledge. But so that this deep engagement fructifies in knowledge and culminates in the knowledge for me, I have to come with some preparation. I have to bring certain preparedness. And all this for what? Why am I preparing? Why am I studying this? We have to, first understand. Yeah. Even though I'm studying because I had no go, one may say. That is not the only reason. The main reason to study is talked about in another text called the Viveka Chudamani, where the writer, Swami Vidyaranya, a very celebrated writer, medieval India, he says, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. What did I say? Narajanma Durlabham. Durlabham means what? Difficult. Yeah, dur means bad, but labha, to gain, difficult to gain. What is difficult to gain? Janma, birth is difficult to gain. Birth is difficult to gain? In this whole, I thought the Vedic tradition is about a plethora of birth and rebirth. Yes, but what kind of birth? Human birth. Nara Janma. Jantuna means of all the beings, easy to be a worm. Yeah. All you have to do is dig. Yeah. Why? Because you wasted your life. When you had a human life, you did not dig into the Shastra. So you just keep dig. That's all you do. And rains come. Everyone except the sadhu steps on you. And then pachak, finished. Yeah. Why sadhu doesn't step on the worm? Because sadhus don't travel during the rainy season. Yeah, that's why I'm stuck in Eugene. It's always raining. Permanent Chaturmasya. So this is called Chaturmasya. Yeah. It starts actually after Guru Purnima, I think. And then, for it used to be for 4 months. But somebody, of course, people always do shortcuts. Somebody said, Pakshovai Masaha means 15 days is, let us consider it a month. How? How? I mean, this would be a dream job if all the employers said, let us consider your work for 15 days and 1 month and just dole out the salary. But here for sadhus it works because they are not salaried. And so instead of 4 months it was reduced to 2. Why 2? Because each 15 days is 1 month. So 4 months is equal to 2 months, really. So these 2 months in the monsoons, which have started to come sooner and sooner because of this El Nino and global warming. Because of the monsoons, there are all these small things, correct? There are worms, there are all these water moths and, what are those things called? Mosquitoes and other things, which the rain washes up. All these crickets, things like that. All of them come out. And even though the sadhus are careful when they walk, you can't, look at each and everything. And so therefore, the sadhu, the renunciant, should not travel for those 2 months. Correct? So in the rainy season. So therefore, this is what is called Chaturmasya. And it has a religious significance. It has also a spiritual significance. Because usually the sadhus will invite each other. Come spend Chaturmasya with us in our ashram or with me, they will say. And so in a way it's like a retreat. Not that they are not teaching, they may be teaching, but it's a different kind of a situation. So they go before 2 months, before that period and then come back. So like this, the whole engagement with the Shastra has come from tens of thousands of years of a very important tradition which has come to us, really. And so, when the force of the Shastra says, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham, which is where we started, so that out of all beings, so many life forms, it is very difficult to attain a human birth. Very difficult. No, but there are 7 billion people. And every day somebody is getting born and all the births are taking place in India or China. What do you mean? But has anyone catalogued all the viruses, starting with virus is also Jantu. All the viruses starting with, the most inconspicuous life form. Not just here, but on other planets, everywhere in the universe. Has anyone has done a census of that? Answer is no, and you cannot. So compared to that, the human race is, a small little segment. This will run in quadrillions, After you stop counting. There is no word for it. That much. So the human birth is lauded as something important. In all traditions actually. Some traditions go to the extreme and say that other life forms don't have souls. Not S-O-L-E-S. That they have. S-O-U-L-S they don't have. We don't say that. We don't go that. That is beyond logic. That is against logic actually. We don't say that. But the human being has a very special significance. The birth in the form of a human being has a special significance only because there is a free will. Yeah. It's almost like Prakriti, the universe, put everything she had into making this human being, where the awareness of the self is unbridled and uninhibited, with very little programming. And the little programming is certain involuntary functions like digestion, breathing, etc. That's all. But otherwise, the human being is not programmed. Sometimes it is difficult to tell because you take away something from the mouth of the dog if you dare, and it will put up a big fight, it will growl, it will head straight to the ankle, your ankle, and that's exactly what the human being also does sometimes, gets very territorial. I saw one comic, this caption, this father dog is taking the son dog for a walk in the neighborhood. And the dog looks at all these fences, big fences everywhere. An expression of the defenses of the human being. All these fences. And the father dog is very erudite and says, "So son, we are not the only territorial species. Look at how the human beings protect their boundaries, So this is what it is. So there's not much difference. So how can you say the human being is not programmed? Well, because one makes a choice. One can be defensive. One can also be disarming. And disarmed, let go of the cudgels, the offensive and defensive cudgels with which we come, into every situation. It is by choice. Even though the choice, the exercising of the choice has become routinized, nonetheless it is still a choice. Definitely a choice. Whereas if you look at the cow doesn't have a cow, The cow doesn't get upset because, the other cow was sent to America for some hybridization program. Cow, is waving a hanky at the airport and this crate is lifting the cow to go into the luggage holder wherever the poor things are transported. And, it's of course headed to New Jersey and... And then what? And the people who are waving it, some of them are jealous. That doesn't happen. Some of them are upset, and some of them, who are the mother cow and the father cow are advising this cow, "Oh daughter, you're going abroad. Don't eat anything in between two slices of bread. It may be your younger sister or brother." We have heard that the West is a very cruel place. They're all cannibalistic, so don't buy anything in the supermarket that looks red. And all these things, it doesn't have to be told. Even if you starve a cow and if you give it a hamburger, it will not eat it. It will starve to death, but it will not eat it. It may, if it's desperate, it may eat the bread and the lettuce. But the meat, it will say, "Let us not." Yeah, it will not eat it. This is what is programmed. But the human being, you have to tell. you are a vegetarian, your father was a vegetarian, your mother is a vegetarian, your great-grandfather, you are a genetic vegetarian. Don't fall under peer pressure. Don't do this. Our Vedas say, kalanjam na bhakshayet, do not eat meat. Suram na pibet, do not imbibe alcohol. Our Vedas say that. Please follow the way of your ancestors. Why does the human being have to be told this repeatedly? Why? Because there is the possibility of transcending even what one looks upon as programming. There is no programming. There is the possibility of transcending advice, and the advice of the elders comes from what? Experience and dharma, a universal matrix of norms which I have to follow so that other people can also follow in relation to me. And so the transgression is possible. Therefore the advice is given. Prasaktasya what? Pratishedha. Pratishedha means to negate. Prasakta means only that which is negated. Only that which has a possibility of doing is negated. Prasakta means that which is possible to do is only negated. Nobody says agnim na pibet. Don't drink fire. Who says that? Who drinks fire? Oh, what about the fire eaters? We're not talking of street performers. We're talking of the general masses. Don't drink fire. Don't drink liquid iron. Nobody says that. Why? Because the possibility is non-existent. So only that which is negated in all the spiritual texts is that where the human being is able to transgress that which is good for everybody. So whether you look at the commandments, they also have certain pratishedha. In fact, it's all pratishedha. Thou shalt not steal. Yes, I shall. That's what the human being says. Why? Because I can. Why can you? Because I have free will. And as long as nobody sees, it's okay. And the day I get caught, oh, that's too bad. And then goes into the jail. And then what does the fellow do in the jail? Thinks of ways not to get caught next time. Unfortunately, this is what is called a habitual offender. So comes out and has a greater resolve, and now is angry at the establishment. Already was angry, now is angrier because spent 6 months in the deep freeze, and then coming out, it's worse because now I'm going to take out my revenge. I'm going to take out my anger, and I'm going to get craftier and have more finesse, right? Yeah, this is what the whole situation is. Even though we say habitual offender, the habit is also born out of free will. The only difference between a habit-based action and a choice-based action is that in the former, the choice has become routinized. That's what is a habit. Where the mind, the senses, and the conscience, which is the inner voice of dharma, has been silenced, as it were. Not really silenced, but if you don't listen to it, why will it talk? Correct? Yeah. It has stopped talking, so to speak. So, okay. You are not supposed to get up. So, therefore, karma phala. Sometimes it is instant. So, therefore, what? A choice and a habit, there is a difference. Habit is not programmed behavior. Oh, I eat habitually. I don't have control over what I eat when I eat. Sometimes people say that. Don't give me cookies because I'll eat the whole packet. Are you a cow? And then you'll eat the cover also. No, I'm not a cow, but I just don't have any kind of inhibitions about eating, and I don't have any control. That means what? The choice has been reduced to a helplessness. Helplessness. That's all it is. So the choice has been, because every time I act, I'm not doing it mindfully. So certain things become habitual, routinized. And in fact, that is why the jiva starts to resemble the animal more and more and more. The more one gets stuck in the ways, the more one gets, habituated. They get very, very routinized. There is one contest, and this contest is of pets and their owners. There is a theory that if you live with your pet for 5-10 years, I don't know which is true. You start to look like the pet or the dog starts to look like you. But then apparently it is true. Even human beings in long marriages, 30, 40 years, because they become each other's mirrors. They're seeing each other constantly, and that they have certain familial faces and mannerisms. So apparently anything you live with for some time, you start to become that, which is one more thing in my basket for this deep engagement with the Shruti. You live with the Shruti for a period of time and you become her, free of all inhibitions, free of all constrictions. So even though there is a contest for the one who looks most like the animal, it's a very dubious distinction, correct? Because I don't want to behave like an animal. That's why I went to school. That's because to get out of this, what this very Upanishad they will call Prakrita Buddhi. The commentator in this Upanishad will say Prakrita Buddhi, this wild behavior. Prakritehe iyam prakritam, that born of nature, belonging to nature, means the natural, as nature made. It's only the human being that can cultivate oneself out of those animalistic, which are at best tendencies. They are not programmed behaviors. They are tendencies which have to be overcome, and some of it is overcome through schooling and learning music and dance and learning to be polite and learning how to behave at parties, and all these things are important. All these things are extremely important. You have to know how to behave at parties. Otherwise, they just, the hors d'oeuvres come and you take the entire tray and keep it in front of you. You're supposed to take, and everything is on toothpicks, Yeah, all delicate things, one piece of pineapple and a little piece of cheese and one olive stuck to one toothpick. And then there will be one dip also. Yeah, you can forego the dip because everybody has dipped into it. So, that's why it's called dip. And so there is this whole plate of things. I saw this at once, I saw this one time. I was invited to some, where was that? In Washington DC, some Indian consulate was having a function. And so I had to give a talk there. And so I went, and then, they had these idlis. They cut it into fourths, into one-fourth, small idlis cut, and then the idli was dipped in something and then stuck on a toothpick with an olive, I suppose, so that it doesn't fall off. And this was what is there. And somebody must have just come from India or had never been to this thing. So the man, they had hired some caterers. So he had this towel in case anything dropped or whatever it was, and he was giving the plate. He was extending the plate. And this man took the entire, thank you. You should have seen the face of the waiter. That is the time he went to consult the manager. And the manager said, don't worry, it was a small plate, let him have it. We will prepare another plate. Don't try to wrest the plate away from him. He just took it and put it on his lap. Thank you. Yes, why are you looking? Go now. And then we all have heard from Swamiji the story of Lalu. Who's Lalu? Lalu is a very influential, Lalu Yadav is an influential politician in India. And there are certain, he comes from a village. And I think this must be an urban myth because, poor fellow has had so many, he's become like the favorite bashing person by the media, by the intelligentsia, because he got into some faux pas and he's just become a joke. Kind of like, that one vice presidential candidate we had a few years back. And so, it's become like a kind of a butt of every joke. This is what, Lalu is. And then his wife also is full of all kinds of jokes. The media makes jokes about the wife also. And even though generally people don't make jokes about the family, she was the interim chief minister of a state in India, which is always in a state. And so apparently this is the urban rumor that this politician was called to some meeting which happened in England. England, which is the height of all kinds of politeness and, coming from lords and ladies culture and all this Victorian, Edwardian and, some Ian from a long time ago. And so they went to some restaurant and everything was given. And then finally the waiter brought a little warm water with some rose petals and a little wedge of lemon. So the story goes. And he said, "Oh, lemon water with rose petals?" He squeezed it in because that's what he saw everybody doing. And then to the shock of the waiter, he drank it. And the waiter's jaw fell to the floor. And he said, "What are you looking? Bring another one." So these are all jokes. Why? Because the human tendency is to grow out of animalism. And the desire is to do that. The desire is to never behave as though one is programmed. And the desire is to free oneself of this, even if there is a whiff of samskara, a habitual, as though programming from the past life. The desire is to shed it. Why? Because anything that is programmed, is confined. That's what it is. That's why the cow's activity is confined, its brain is confined to finding food and reproducing and feeding its children and then dying away. That's all it does. A flower, a worm, all their activities are confined within the cosmos. That is why it is said, Jantunam narajanma durlabham. This human birth is very, very dear because it's the only chance to discover the truth of oneself. Because you tell the dog sit, okay, it sits for 2 minutes. And then you say, now I'm going to teach you Kathopanishad Bhashya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave. Woof woof, it's going to say. Brahma Vidya Charyaya Nachiketa Sesja Sadehe Visharana Gati Avasadanartham. All this you cannot teach. No cognition, no capacity. It is totally programmed. But the human being, as I said, the universe in making the human being expended all her resources as it were. And the human being has unconditioned self-awareness. Even the dog is self-aware. It knows itself, it knows the like species, it knows unlike species. Enough to propagate and defend. That's all it is. Dog, cat, cow, etc. But in the human being, the self-awareness is uninhibited. No inhibitions whatsoever. Totally free. Totally free. And along with this freedom comes the freedom to judge oneself. It's an extension of the freedom. One is so free that one is free enough to say, I lack this, I lack that, I want. I lack this also, I lack that also. No wonder life is lackluster. Yeah. So, freedom to judge others, freedom to judge the universe comes from self-judgment. It's all a freedom. So that's why the dog and the cat do not need this knowledge. Do not at all require this knowledge. Without Vedanta, dog is happy. Happy being what it is. Even if it is sad because the owner went away to office, leaving it alone, it recovers quickly. It will see something and wag its tail and recover. But the human being has the freedom to come to wrong understanding about oneself. Dog is also Satchidananda Atma. Dog is also Bhagavan. But the dog doesn't have a complex. How come I haven't changed the spelling of my name? I need to change the spelling of my name and make it God instead of dog. Why am I, having this problem? It doesn't think that. It doesn't want to be anything other than what Bhagavan has made of it. That's all. But the human being's desires are like an escalator going into some, non-ending, place. Unending desires. Whatever one wants, if one finds, then what happens? Then no sooner than one fulfills one want with great difficulty, then one wants something else. In fact, this is what is called a wanting life. A life peppered by wants. Want, wanting, I'm left wanting. In my qualifications, in looks I'm wanting, in weight I'm not wanting, but that creates wanting. That creates a wanting, because even in the not wanting weight, there is a wanting. Wanting to lose weight and wanting to do this. Wanting. Being haunted by this wanting. All a series of wantings pepper my life. This is my life. This is one's life. So here, one can say, you are not making your case very strong. First you tried to convince me that the human life is very special, and I was listening very intently. And then now you are just putting a cudgel on that very argument and saying that human life is full of wants and the animals are better off because they don't have self-judgment. Yes, in that way, animals are better off because they don't have self-judgment. But they are not better off because that animal life is a little small pixel in this whole universe of life after life after life after life. And it's only in the human life the opportunity to resolve this self-judgment, that there is a lack centered on this I, is possible, is even feasible. Why? Because there is cognitive development in form of the brain, leading the two sages to have a conversation about who is the most stingy fellow on this universe. Gargi asks Sage Yajurveda, because she was called Brahmavadini. She was an expert on all matters related to Brahman, the whole, the truth of oneself, knowing which this self-judgment drops. And she was given the task of building an assembly of scholars and knowers of Brahman so that everybody could have an enlightened debate in front of the king. That was the idea. So she was checking people out to bring into whether or not they belonged into this assembly, and she had a quiz for each one. Many people failed and left head hanging in shame. But not Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya was equal in every way to her. And she asked the question, who is the stingiest person of all? Yajnavalkya, not on the wall. Who is the stingiest person of all? That was her question. And what did he say? One would have said the one who doesn't do charity, or the one who doesn't cook, or the one who doesn't clean, or the one who doesn't give of oneself. So many answers could come. But he surprised the whole assembly by saying, Yaha atmanam aviditva asman lokat praiti. Asman lokat praiti. Asmat lokat praiti bhogargi. Saha kripanaha. Yes. Kripanaha means stingy. Pitiable in the stinginess. Who is that? The stingiest person, the one who dies away without knowing the truth of this self. Oh Gargi, oh revered Gargi, is the most stingy person. What does that have to do with stinginess? Because the person hoarded the brain cells, did not use the brain cells, the intelligence, for what it was, for the purpose for which it was bestowed upon you. If you don't use it, kripana. Even the Bhagavad Gita uses the word kripanaha phalahetavaha. Phalahetavaha means, Bhagavan Krishna says, people who just go after karma phala. They just want some instant gratification. I did this and I want to do this, without really looking at what this life is about. This life is not about instant gratification. It is about that instant when you understand in the process of even this study that I am so gratified that there is nothing that needs to happen. There is no pursuit anymore for me, because I am not haunted by the want, by the relentless scepters of wants. I am not haunted by them. I am not chased by them. I am not scared of them, because the wants, when they come, they are like nightmares, except they happen in the day, and they are daymares. They are scary, because if you really think about all the things one wants, some of the things, involve, putting other people out, because they also want the same thing. So I wish that person, and sometimes one is not in control of what one thinks. Why did this person have to exist? The thought may come, because they are coming in the way of what I want. But usually, for everybody, it resolves at the level of thought. But from the level of thought, sometimes, if that dharma, the voice of dharma, which is the voice of Bhagavan within, that which you are seeking is within. That is what the whole thing is. That I that you seek outside in the form of all these wants is a morphed, distracted I, really. Is a I that is being, it's superimposed. The I that has spread itself too thin in all kinds of objects. That's why everything begins with I. iPad, iMac, what else is there? iPhone. iTune, yeah. That which tunes you out, of looking at the self. iTune, and then it is very ubiquitous, because the I in all these things will be small. And the manufacturers are showing that they are not replacing you, really, because you are the big I, these are all small I's. But really, that big I is just the ego that says, oh, it's not really replacing me. Something so small, how can it affect me? But before you know it, one cannot live without the phone. One cannot live without the iPad. One cannot live without the iTunes. One cannot live without the computer. One cannot live. So the I has been actually put wherever the I is not. The I has proliferated. It has a ubiquitous but a proliferated existence. Wherever the I is not, one looks for the I, thinking that if I get the latest phone, then, I'll be okay. And the latest phone is not the last phone, because then it is bettered by another later phone, which again you want. So where is the end? And so these small eyes, which are really huge eyes, which have really spread. That's why I say the eye has spread itself thin by lurking in everything that is not I, by beckoning. It says Ehi. Ehi means come in Sanskrit. Come to me. Ehi. Come. You can afford me. No, I can't. No, take a loan. 6 months, no interest. Take a loan. Buy a phone. Take a loan. Otherwise, you will just be forever wanting this phone. That's why it's called iPhone. That is you. That really is a statement on you. Supposing the person resists or doesn't have the choice but to resist, doesn't have the money to buy or whatever. And then what happens is that the next time the thought comes, somebody has left the phone behind. And who is this I? I am the wanter of this phone. So if I am the wanter of this phone, and the phone is right here, and I am also right here, so bridge the distance. Catch it, instead of seeing who it may belong to, putting it at a police station or whatever it is, I had an interesting experience one time. Waiting for my flight, and just in front of the gate, there was still a lot of time there. And I didn't pay much attention. I was reading something. And then I was aware that somebody was sitting next to me. And that person, got up and went away. And then I saw the chair was not empty. The seat had a phone on it. And by the time I looked, the person was gone. And it looked like a very expensive one of those smartphones, big smartphone. So then I thought, maybe the person is in the vicinity. And, and maybe I can see what number they called last. Because I looked all in the area, in that whole gate area, and somebody suggested, why don't you dial the last number? And I gave the phone to that person, and the person dialed the last number and gave the phone back to me. You talk, whoever it is. I said, who is it? It says mom and dad. I said, oh, okay, this is easy. So, he must have called his mother and father. And so one man answers the phone. Hello. And I said, this is your son's phone. Looks like he left it. And if he calls you, you please tell him that it is with the airport security office, which is where we are going to leave it. Very simple message. And that man got so angry. How dare you call, how dare you call me? I don't want to hear from him ever again after the last conversation. It was more than we had bargained for. So like this, you see. And everybody will not turn it into security. It needs a certain security within to be able to give it to the airport security without, and some lost and found and whatnot. And so this is what it is, because there is an insecurity that without these props, without these gadgets, without these source of all these wants, instead of looking at the source of the wants, without looking at the object of the wants, without having the objects of these wants, I am incomplete. And so the desire becomes stronger and stronger and stronger to shut up that voice of sanity, that voice of conscience, that voice of dharma, which is the manifestation of God within, which is Bhagavan. We don't say that the dharma is a mandate of God. Like somebody came down and said, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit this, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not eat. All these things. All these things, we don't say somebody came and somebody handed this to somebody and then somebody stood on top of a hill and then proclaimed all these things. We don't say that. wherever this possibility is there, wherever this rightness is discerned, living in right relationship, in right conduct with myself, with others, with the whole universe, wherever it is discerned, that is a manifestation of God. So that is really dharma. And this dharma has to be, awakened. In fact, this dharma is needed before one can succumb to the embrace of the Shruti that I talked about in the earlier in the class. This is the preparation, is to discover in myself that person who is yearning to listen to that voice within. First I discover that person, and then discovering the voice doesn't take very long. Even if it's buried in the hordes of wants, it still doesn't take long. First I have to discover the person who naturally wants, because dharma is another structure. The first embrace is that. It's the embrace of preparation really. Dharma is that structure. I mean, we have a structure, 8 o'clock class, all these things, but dharma is the primary structure that holds all human beings in harmony as opposed to dissonance. This is what is the first pursuit. This is the only thing to pursue really as a human being. Because all other pursuits make one animalistic or continue that animal samskara from previous lives. The only thing to pursue is this. What is that? This dharma. That's all it is. Because, all other activities are what? Common to animals. Animal eats, you eat. Animal eats grass. You have wheat grass smoothie. Same difference. May as well graze in the backyard for lunch. Come to the front for dinner. That's all. So, animal eats, you eat. Animal sleeps, you sleep. Animal reproduce, people also reproduce. Animal is subject to fear and insecurity. One is also subject to fear and insecurity. So what is the discerning factor? Dharmo hi etam adhiko visheshah dharmena hinaha pashubhis samanaha. Manu says this. Manu, in a work called Manusmriti, says that ahar nidra bhaya maithunancha samanyam etat pashubhihi naranam. With regard to sleep, progeny, having progeny, eating, and being open to, being subject to fear and insecurity. All animals, all human beings, everybody is the same. The discerning factor between humans and animals is the ability to follow dharma. If you transcend dharma, you are an animal. Really, that's all it is. According to the Shastra, that is what it is. So really speaking, this is why one requires the Upanishad. One requires this deep engagement. Not because the Upanishad is going to teach me to be a dharmic person. That I have to learn on my own. But what the Upanishad is going to teach me is the fruit of that reward of being the dharmic person. I'm being a dharmic person for the sake of what? For the sake of being a true human being. Who is a true human being? Someone who utilizes the body, mind, sense complex of the human life completely. Like Gargi and Yagyavalkya talked about, the true person, one who is qualifies to be called a human being, is the one who takes the opportunity to study this knowledge. Because action binds. Any action exerted to fulfill the wants, they keep binding you and binding you. Knowledge frees. Because I told you there is an error in the judgment. I'm free enough to come to wrong judgments about myself. I'm free enough to say that this is the problem. This person is the problem. I am the problem. What I don't have is the problem. That I don't have is the problem. I'm free enough to come to all these wrong conclusions. Why? Because I don't know myself. Yeah. I have to know myself as that person who is free, who is limitless, who is whole, who is free of being wanting, who is free of being insecure, who is free of sorrow and fear. I have to know myself as that person. But you are just saying I am that person. How do I know that? How can I say that? Because even the most sorrowful person is not crying in sleep. Yeah. In sleep there is a reprieve. He is not crying in sleep. And even the most angry person is not raging in sleep. The most wanting person may be wanting sleep, but after getting the sleep is not going shopping with a bag in sleep. Yeah. What about sleepwalkers? We are not talking of the exceptions. We are talking of the rule here. In sleep, what is there? Do you have any wants? No. No food? Thank God, because otherwise, all the time. Swaha, swaha, swaha. Bhagavan has made us sleep for 8 hours or a certain portion of the day where the digestive system gets a much needed reprieve from this fellow always, jaws, exercising the jaws. That's why now I'm getting this idea. That's why there is every other body part has exercise. Even the eyes, they say go like this, up and down. Jaws have no prescribed exercise. Because one is exercising the jaws all the time. That's what it is. Either one is talking or eating. All the time. See, so many ideas come. And so therefore, in sleep, there is a reprieve from discontentment, from want, from fear, from insecurity, from all kinds of terrors, from a sense of lack, from self-judgment, self-criticism, self-loath, from the self even. There is a reprieve from that self which I don't want. There is a big reprieve. And in sleep, everyone, reboots and is restored to that I, which the Shastra says is you, even when you are awake. So you don't have to go to sleep, especially in class, because even while awake, you are going to be taught that which you will be taught, which you don't have to be asleep. Then why should I learn this? Why can't I permanently go to sleep? I just go to sleep, and don't get up at all. Get up in the middle, to go eat something, come back, sleep. Some diseases are like that. It's called narcolepsy. Person can sleep like a horse, standing up. So why can't I be like that? You can. But that's not the solution to your problem. Because each time if you awaken, you dread being awake. That's a very miserable situation. Yeah. And in sleep, you don't even know you're happy, do you? Only afterwards you say, why did you wake me up? I was so happy. So this is a non-sleeping, knowledge of that truth of oneself which one touches on in sleep. It's the non-sleeping version of that. Which means what? It's the only version. Yeah. In fact, it's not a version, it's a vision. Yeah. Every other thing is a restatement. This is the vision of the Upanishad. And also it's in keeping with my wants. Not just one person wants, every person's want. Even though the wants may be different, what one wants behind the want is to be accomplished, is to be secure, is to like oneself, is to stop hating oneself, is to stop hating the world, is to be at peace with oneself and others, is to love, is to be loved, is to be compassionate. This is what one ultimately wants. These are the things that one wants, to be at peace with oneself. And that knowledge that tells you that this, what you seek is exactly what you are, is called Kathopanishad, Kenopanishad, Ishavasyopanishad, this Upanishad, that Upanishad, so many Upanishads. Thankfully we have the time. So we will continue tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadharya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. You email the opening prayer and closing prayer to him. So